All right, so let's start. Welcome, everyone. I'm Jacek Becla. I'm chairing the XLDB conference series, including the 9th one. We still have people trickling in. We expect about 135 people, but I'm not too surprised. It's always like this. The mornings are kind of slow. So I'll go very quickly through the introduction. I have 20 minutes. I'll probably use less. So some of you who were here before saw some of those slides, but just to remind those who are not here or didn't look on the website, we are actually after 3 goals when it comes to XLDB. Number 1 is exchange information. So we are really trying to identify trends, commonalities, major roadblocks, and exchange information between different groups, bridge the gaps between different communities, and facilitate growth. So we are not really building anything, we are not producing any software, we are just kind of putting communities together. And that has been working very nicely over the past 9 years or so. And the main focus is really on practical aspects. So all the people here, I believe, are really technical, there are no sales talks, and I'm sure you will recognize it and see during like coffee breaks and lunch and so on. So that's the power of this conference. We are not really advertising a lot, and it's really like kind of a small, nice community that people exchange information between each other and help each other. That's how it has been working so far. And it's all about data management and complex analytics. We have the database in the name, but it's actually not just the database. This is how we started. This is for historical reasons, but all other communities that deal with large data, data management, data analytics are part of this. So we started back in 2007, actually here at SLAC in a building right next to this one. This is a fairly new one. And we started with just a small invitational workshop, around 60 people. Since then, we opened a conference. We basically introduced an open conference because small invitational workshop was not enough to keep the community around, and it's just impractical to start inviting 100, 150, 200 people. We also started introducing various satellite events in different places in Asia, in Europe, in South America, and also topical events, for example, healthcare. We had one about 2 years ago. So this has been working very well to bring communities that can't travel to Silicon Valley every year. So again, we started with just one-day workshop. 2010, we introduced a 2-day conference. Then satellite events in Europe, in China, in Europe again, in South America. And this year, we are actually experimenting with slightly longer conference without the workshop. And let's see how this goes. There are multiple reasons for doing this. One of them is actually it takes a lot of time to organize 2 events. So this will be a little bit easier on people who are organizing, me included. And we are also considering organizing the XLDB for government in DC. There has been discussions about it even a year from now, and there's a lot of appetite in DC to have XLDB. Actually, every year they are asking for an event every year that's kind of similar to what we have here. So there are definitely plans. It's just a question when exactly. It will be either late this year or early next year, but it's very likely it's coming. We actually have quite a lot of people coming from DC here. I've seen just a couple so far, but I'm sure they will come and you will see them during the conference. So this is more or less the rough breakdown of the community, and it has been stable over the past several years since we started having the open conference. So it's basically 50% industries, and then the rest is broken down between the vendors, academia, and science. And of course, there's a gray area, industry versus vendor, and sometimes academia versus vendor. So that's kind of a soft boundaries, but that's more or less the breakdown. And this is one of the powerful things about this community. Actually, if you go to other conferences, you won't see that kind of breakdown. You will either see like strictly scientific conference, and people are trying to reach out to industries, but it's really like, you know, 1 or 2 people from industry, or it's strictly industrial, and sometimes they are trying to bring the scientific people, but again, it's like 1 or 2 persons. So this mix is kind of very unique, I would say. So the conference is perhaps not huge. We are talking about 150 people here. But we are taping the talks and we are putting them on YouTube. And actually, as of this weekend, I just looked and we had exactly 500 subscribers to our XLDB channel and 50,000 views. So that's actually pretty good when you think about it. Our videos were watched 50,000 times. Since last year, since last conference, we added 20,000 views. So I'm not saying 20,000 people watched it, right? But thousands. And this is the #1 talk from last year. So since last year, 10 months, people watched it over 5,000 times. That's actually pretty impressive when you think about it. So we have impact beyond just 150 people that are here in this room, which is quite rewarding, actually. So philosophy, we are trying not to change it unless it's broken. That's consistently, we heard it many, many times over the past many years. Don't change it, it's working well. So that's kind of what we are trying to do here. We've done some small tunings, but nothing really major. So specifically, things in red are changes. So we are back at SLAC, nothing new here, we've been here for many years. And then we went for a couple of years to Stanford because this building was built, so we didn't actually have the reasonable auditorium that would fit all those people. We are switching to 3 days instead of 2 days plus workshop, so that's a small change. Single track, it has always been a single track, and it's been working very nicely. We have 2 sets of lightning talks. And for those lightning talks, for those people who are new, let me explain it very briefly. We have voting, so you will be asked to vote for the best and second best lightning talk over those 2 days, so 18 talks or so. And the 2 best lightning talks will get the official speaking slot at the next conference. So the speaker will get 35 minutes for the next conference. And we have 2 speakers from last year who won the last year lightning talks. You will see. I mean, they basically got the freedom to talk about whatever they want. It doesn't have to be related to what they were talking about last year. Of course, it has to be related to XLDB and so on. So that's what we've been doing recently, and it's been working very nicely. No posters. Actually, very few people requested posters, and that's why we have no posters this year. In the past, we usually had some number of posters. Usually, I don't know, half of the lightning talk speakers wanted to do posters. For some reason, this year, people, only like 2, I think, requested posters, so we didn't do this. No change in terms of the focus, practical, real-world solutions. The same mix. We are videotaping and publishing those talks that the speakers allow us to. So within a month, we expect to have the videos uploaded to YouTube, and we will announce it through the email. So say by the end of June. Lots of time to socialize, including reception later on today. There's a power at every seat, which is a change comparing. We never managed to do it in the past, and really everyone requested because I know that you want to check emails and have laptop open and so on. So that's actually, I think it's a big improvement. And we have superb speakers. I mean, literally, every year I think we have really good speakers. And part of the reason is that we are in Silicon Valley, and it's actually easier for us to bring people from, Facebook, Google, and all other companies that have interesting things to say about big data. So, and technically savvy audience. So no change there. A couple of slides about logistics. So we have the social event at 5 o'clock. Everything is happening here, so just don't leave the building and you will be fine. All the coffee breaks, all the lunches, the reception. 5 o'clock, it's not a dinner, it's just light appetizers, beverages, so that people can kind of mix and talk to each other. You don't want to be stuck with 1 person or 2 people and sit for 2 hours. non-seated, just bring your badge and you will be let in. So slides will be published within a week. We usually try to publish them within a day, but we don't want to overpromise. So, and they will be just linked to the agenda. So you should know where to find them if you want to check something. Videos by end of June. Where are your tags? We have the wireless here. It's pretty simple, no password, but you do need to fill a couple of entries there. Obvious things, turn off cell phones, and we are very welcome and actually encouraged to tweet and tell to your friends about the conference. One more thing I'll mention briefly. So it's pretty much common. We had so many drills in the past. For those who are coming every year, we had the emergency drills at least twice, the earthquake drills, yes. So this year we have something different. This year we have what's called lockdown drill. So this will be tomorrow. And you probably shouldn't even notice. People from SLAC and Stanford will get the kind of the text message, and we are supposed not to leave the building during like 10 minutes or something. And this will be during the session, so it should actually be fine. Just nothing changes, I think. But still, just so that you know, if all of a sudden like 20 cell phones starts beeping or something. So I'm supposed to tell you about the emergency information and exits and all that, but I think this is pretty obvious, pretty standard here. There are many exits, and for those who are not familiar with earthquakes, don't run away if we have an earthquake. That's kind of how you should act in case of an earthquake. Let's see, anything else here? Not really. Okay, so I wanted to thank the organizing committee. This year the committee is slightly larger than I had in the past, and it's been immensely successful. Actually, they've done most of the work. Not each of them, but they basically run, I completely delegated different sessions to them, and they just took care of them, including finding the speakers, and we just coordinated together. So this has been working really nicely, really well, and I think I will continue doing it, because otherwise it's just impossible to run the conference and have the regular daily work and combine it to long term. So I think that's what we will try next year. That's actually one of the reasons we have a short discussion after the conference. So I don't know if you notice on the agenda, in kind of under the agenda, there's one sentence or two that mention that if we that we are planning to actually meet together for those who are interested in contributing or have input about the conference. We will have, I don't know, an hour, maybe 2 hour brainstorming session to kind of decide what to do with the future events. Should we go to DC? When? Should we have both conferences in next year? What topics we should discuss? Who would like to help with moderating those and arranging sessions? So that's the discussion that we will have on Thursday afternoon. And this is actually partly what we used to discuss at the workshops. So this kind of replaces the workshop to some extent. Thank you to our sponsors. We are a DOE-funded lab here, government-funded lab. So actually, it's quite hard to have things like the reception, wine, and we can still feed you, but it would be $14 per person per day. So you can imagine. So thanks to sponsors, we can actually have reasonable lunches and coffee breaks and things like that. And I'm mentioning NSF here because my group, myself included, are fully funded by an NSF grant. So all the time that we are spending on preparing and running the XLDB is actually using the NSF money. So with that, I just wanted to, let's see, should we go through the agenda? Are there any questions about the agenda? Should I briefly walk you through the agenda? I suspect not. I think we had the description about every session, so unless there are questions, I will, for the sake of time, I will probably just stop here and then we will switch to the next session. So let me just see if there are any questions about anything related to logistics, conference, or things of that nature. All right, okay, so let's switch to the next session.